Humans and devas alike spent 12 long years searching for one answer. What is true blessing? The heavens were searching. The human world was searching too. They examined knowledge, power, and glory, yet still found no path that truly brought peace and safety. Until they came before the Buddha. O practitioners of goodness, let us listen together as this teacher of humans and devas reveals the 38 true blessings.
Thus have I heard. At one time, the Blessed One was dwelling in Sāvatthī, in Jeta's grove, Anāthapiṇḍika's park. It was deep into the night. Heaven and earth were silent. Then a deva appeared. Her radiance was magnificent and resplendent, illuminating the entire Jeta monastery as though it were broad daylight. She approached the Blessed One, paid homage, and then stood respectfully to one side. Thus standing respectfully, that deva addressed the Blessed One with verses, asking her question.
Both devas and humans have reflected on matters of blessing, yet remain uncertain. What then is true blessing? We now humbly ask the Blessed One to declare the true blessings.
What is a blessing? In the Buddha's time, both humans and devas were searching for what they called blessings. Some believed blessings were wealth. Some believed blessings were power. Others thought blessings were good luck, fame, or a life where everything goes smoothly, without hardship. But the Buddha taught, true blessings are not given by outer conditions. They are determined by the state of one's heart and the direction of one's life. True blessing is not about how much we possess, but about whether our life is walking the right path. A life like this, even when facing wind and rain, remains steady, peaceful, and bright.
The Buddha's first answer is very direct. Not associating with the foolish, associating with the wise, and honoring those worthy of respect. This is the highest blessing.
The Buddha answered the deva by revealing the most fundamental blessing in life. Not associating with the foolish, associating with the wise, and honoring those worthy of respect. This is the highest blessing. From the very beginning, the Buddha did not speak of wealth, nor did he speak of fate. Instead, he pointed directly to this truth. A person's life is deeply shaped by the people they associate with. Who are the foolish? The foolish are not those without knowledge, but those who clearly know what is unwholesome and yet insist on doing it. They belittle wholesome actions, mock the noble path, and value short-lived desires more than the long journey of life. If we keep company with such people, even if our hearts were originally not unkind, we may, without realizing it, be pulled toward the wrong direction. Therefore, the Buddha said, to stay away from the foolish is the first step in protecting one's life. Then the Buddha said, associate with the wise. The wise may not speak much, yet they bring peace to the heart. They may not lecture, yet through their own conduct they show the way forward. To associate with the wise is like drawing near to a lamp in the darkness. The path becomes clearer, and the heart gradually moves toward the light. Finally, the Buddha said, honor those worthy of honor. When we learn to respect those who are truly virtuous, pure, and kind, our heart no longer revolves only around self. In that moment, we learn humility, we learn gratitude, and we learn to incline toward goodness. The Buddha tells us, true blessing is not outward smoothness, but placing our life among the right people, in the right direction, and grounded in the right values. The Buddha continued his teaching.
Living in a suitable place, having cultivated merit in the past, and guiding the mind onto the right path, this is the highest blessing.
The Buddha tells us that blessing is not a distant miracle. It begins right within our daily life. First, living in a suitable place. The place we live does not need to be luxurious, but it should give the body and mind a sense of safety, clarity, and peace. It is a place that does not increase afflictions, but allows the heart and body to rest. Second, having cultivated merit in the past. Blessing is not luck that appears out of nowhere. It is the result of accumulated wholesome actions, wholesome intentions, and wholesome karma. Every act of kindness, every sincere good deed, quietly lays the foundation for stability and ease in our future life. Third, guiding the mind onto the right path. Even if the environment is favorable, even if we possess merit, if the mind strays from the right path, life will still become lost. Therefore, the Buddha reminds us, it is not enough for outer conditions to be stable. What matters more is placing the heart in the right direction, allowing the mind to walk the path of goodness, purity, and awakening. When life has a stable foundation, when we are supported by merit born of good actions, and when the heart is continually guided toward the right path, such a life will surely move toward light and true blessing.
The Buddha continued his teaching.
Being learned, skilled in one's craft, well-trained in discipline, and gentle in speech, this is the highest blessing.
In this verse, the Buddha turns his attention to our own learning, abilities, and inner cultivation. First, being learned. What the Buddha calls being learned is not about showing off knowledge, but about a willingness to learn, to understand, and to keep widening one's perspective. Those who do not learn are easily led by prejudice and ignorance. Only those who keep learning have the chance to see the true direction of life. Second, being skilled in one's craft. This means possessing a practical skill, being able to stand firmly in the world and through rightful means support oneself and benefit others. The Buddha did not praise empty talk. He praised those who bring wisdom into everyday life. Third, being well-trained in discipline. Discipline is not merely external rules, but an inner capacity for self-restraint, knowing what should be done and what should be avoided. A disciplined life is not dragged around by desire. A regulated mind can walk far and walk steadily. Fourth, being gentle in speech. The Buddha especially reminds us that words carry tremendous power. A single sentence can comfort someone or wound them. It can build wholesome connections or create enmity. Therefore, to speak words that are truthful, kind, and gentle is a very deep practice. When a person is willing to learn, possesses right livelihood skills, has inner discipline, and speaks with gentleness, such a life not only brings stability to oneself, but also gives a sense of safety and ease to others. And this is exactly what the Buddha meant by the ultimate blessing.
The Buddha continued his teaching.
Serving one's parents, caring for one's spouse and children, and conducting one's affairs without confusion, this is the highest blessing.
In this verse, the Buddha brings practice from inner personal cultivation back to the most real and intimate place of life, our family and our responsibilities. First, serving one's parents. The filial care spoken of by the Buddha is not merely material support, but a spirit of respect, understanding, and presence. When parents grow old and their strength is no longer as before, to be treated kindly, cared for, and understood is itself a great source of peace and merit. Second, caring for one's spouse and children. The Buddha reminds us to form a family is to take on responsibility. Care is not only providing daily necessities, but offering one's family a sense of safety, trust, and stable support. Third, conducting one's affairs without confusion. What the Buddha speaks of is not busyness, but acting with order, sequence, and responsibility. When a person can organize life well and not let chaos or negligence harm others, both family and work can become supportive conditions for practice rather than sources of distress. The Buddha tells us, true blessing does not exist only in monasteries or meditation halls, but is found in daily responsibilities, where with compassion and accountability, we put our life in order.
A life lived in this way not only brings ease to one's family, but also makes one's own heart more grounded, pure, and luminous.
The Buddha continued his teaching. Giving, living by the righteous path, supporting one's relatives, and refraining from actions that cause obstruction, this is the highest blessing.
In this verse, the Buddha expands the meaning of blessing from the family sphere to our relationships with others, with society, and with our own actions and karma. First, giving. The giving spoken of by the Buddha is not only the offering of money, but a heart that is willing to share and to ease the suffering of others. When we learn to give, the heart loosens its grip. Life, in turn, becomes lighter and more spacious. Second, living by the righteous path. The Buddha reminds us that true blessing comes from walking the right path, not making a living through deception, harm, or grasping, but grounding one's life in integrity, purity, and kindness. Third, supporting one's relatives. The Buddha does not reject worldly relationships. Rather, he reminds us that within our means, to care for, support, and look after our relatives is itself a wholesome act and a responsibility. Fourth, refraining from actions that cause obstruction. Obstructive actions are those that harm others, break harmony, or block wholesome paths for oneself or for others. When we are careful with body, speech, and mind, not allowing our actions to become obstacles for others, nor planting causes for future suffering, life can truly rest in stability and peace. The Buddha tells us, when a person delights in giving, walks the righteous path, cares for their relatives, and stays far from obstructive deeds, such a life not only reduces conflict and suffering, but also, quietly and naturally, lays down a path of light and true blessing for oneself and for others.
The Buddha continued his teaching.
Refraining from all evil deeds, abstaining from intoxicants, and being devoted to the Dhamma. This is the highest blessing.
In this verse, the Buddha clearly points out that true blessing is not only about doing more good, but more importantly, about stopping the causes of harm. First, refraining from all evil deeds. What the Buddha refers to as evil is not an abstract label of sin, but any action that harms others, disturbs oneself, and brings about painful consequences. When we learn to restrain unwholesome actions, no longer letting greed, anger, and delusion dominate body, speech, and mind, life gains a truly stable foundation. Second, abstaining from intoxicants. The Buddha especially reminds us that anything that clouds the mind and weakens mindfulness and judgment makes it far easier to commit mistakes and create unwholesome karma. Not drinking intoxicants is not about repression, but about protecting a clear and wakeful mind. Third, being devoted to the Dhamma. The Dhamma is the path that leads away from suffering toward purity and awakening. When a person is willing to place the heart steadily and continuously in the Dhamma, not swayed by circumstances, not dragged by desire, life gradually becomes firm and grounded, no longer easily losing its direction. The Buddha tells us, when harmful actions are brought to an end, the mind remains clear, and the Dhamma is taken as one's refuge. Such a life no longer readily creates suffering and moves ever closer to true freedom and peace. And this is exactly what the Buddha meant by a blessing that is both essential and fundamental.
The Buddha continued his teaching.
Respectfulness, humility, contentment, gratitude, and hearing the Dhamma at the proper time. This is the highest blessing.
In this verse, what the Buddha points to is no longer external conditions, but a heart that has gradually matured. First, respectfulness. Respect does not mean belittling oneself, but knowing how to honor truth, virtue, and life itself. When respect lives in the heart, one does not treat wholesome qualities lightly, nor indulge in careless behavior. Second, humility. Humility means not being blinded by the ego. It allows us to be willing to learn, willing to correct ourselves, and willing to acknowledge our own limitations. Third, contentment.
the Buddha teaches us that contentment does not mean giving up effort, but not being dragged along by endless desire. A contented heart can rest in simplicity and feel a sense of sufficiency in the present moment. Fourth, gratitude. Gratitude reminds us that many of life's achievements have never been accomplished by ourselves alone. When the heart knows gratitude, arrogance naturally softens, and harmony between self and others arises more easily. Fifth, hearing the Dhamma at the proper time. The Buddha reminds us that the mind needs continual reminders of the Dhamma. Without regularly hearing the true teaching, even those with wholesome roots can be carried away by worldly conditions. When a person knows respect, maintains humility, abides in contentment, cultivates gratitude, and allows the Dhamma to continually nourish their life, such a heart is no longer prone to wrongdoing, nor easily led astray. And this is exactly what the Buddha meant by a blessing that is stable from within and fulfilled through the heart.
The Buddha continued his teaching.
Patience, being open to instruction, meeting contemplatives who live the practice, and discussing the Dhamma at the proper time, this is the highest blessing.
In this verse, what the Buddha points to is no longer merely wholesome action, but a heart that is truly walking the path of practice. First, patience. Patience does not mean suppressing emotions, nor does it mean weakness or retreat. It is the capacity, when facing adversity, misunderstanding, or conflict, not to let anger rule body, speech, and mind. Only a patient heart does not lose itself in circumstances and does not destroy long-term practice for the sake of a momentary emotion. Second, being open to instruction. To be open to instruction means being willing to be reminded and corrected. This requires letting go of self-righteousness and keeping an open heart toward the Dhamma and wise teachers. Third, meeting contemplatives who live the practice. The Buddha reminds us that the path of practice cannot rely on books and imagination alone. To draw close to those who truly practice the Dhamma, to let one's life be illuminated by living examples, is itself a rare and precious condition. Fourth, discussing the Dhamma at the proper time. What the Buddha means by discussing the Dhamma is not debating to win, but at an appropriate time, with a pure and respectful mind, exploring together the path to liberation. When a person can be patient without anger, open to instruction without arrogance, close to practitioners without confusion, and able to discuss the true Dhamma at the right time without empty talk, such a life is already standing firmly on the path of practice. And this is exactly what the Buddha meant by a blessing that is deep and very close to awakening.
The Buddha continued his teaching.
Diligent effort, living the holy life, fully seeing the Four Noble Truths, personally realizing Nibbana. This is the highest blessing.
In this verse, the Buddha is no longer merely guiding us on how to become a better person. He points directly to the ultimate way out of life's suffering. First, diligent effort. The diligence spoken of by the Buddha is not tension or self-pressure, but steady, continuous, and unwavering effort. Once the direction is clearly known, one walks step by step, without heedlessness, without slackening, steadily along the path to liberation. Second, living the holy life. The holy life is a way of living in purity, a path centered on virtue, concentration, and wisdom. It is not an escape from the world, but a way of guarding body, speech, and mind in every posture, walking, standing, sitting, lying down, so that life is no longer driven by greed, hatred, and delusion. Third, fully seeing the Four Noble Truths. The Buddha tells us, liberation does not arise from belief, but from seeing things as they truly are. When one truly sees the reality of suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path leading to its cessation, the mind is no longer distorted, no longer confused. Fourth,
personally realizing Nibbana. Nibbana is not a distant place, but the complete cessation of greed, hatred, and delusion. When all clinging is let go, when all causes of suffering are extinguished, the mind no longer arises, no longer ceases, no longer bound. This is what the Buddha called ultimate liberation. Through this verse, the Buddha tells us, when a person makes diligent effort without retreat, lives a pure and holy life, clearly sees the Four Noble Truths as they are, and personally realizes Nibbana, such a life has already gone beyond all worldly notions of fortune and misfortune. And this is exactly what the Buddha proclaimed as the ultimate, the highest, the unsurpassable blessing.
The Buddha continued his teaching.
Though in contact with worldly conditions, the mind remains unshaken and undisturbed, freed from suffering, not intoxicated by sensual and emotional desire, abiding in equanimity. This is the highest blessing.
And this verse, what the Buddha describes, is no longer the process of practice, but the way life appears in the world after awakening. Though in contact with worldly conditions, the mind remains calm and undisturbed. The Buddha did not say that a practitioner must escape the world. Worldly gain and loss, success and failure, praise and blame will still arise. The difference is this: the mind no longer rises and falls with conditions, no longer gets pulled along. Freed from suffering, liberation does not mean that pain never appears, but that the mind is no longer trapped by suffering. When clinging comes to an end, suffering loses its ground. Not intoxicated by sensual and emotional desire. What the Buddha taught is not repression of desire, but freedom from being ruled by it. When the mind clearly sees the nature of desire, desire naturally loses its power. Abiding in equanimity. This is the final expression of all practice. The mind does not waver. The mind does not cling. The mind does not resist. Through this verse, the Buddha tells us, when one lives in the world, yet the heart has gone beyond. When conditions arise, yet the mind does not follow. Such a life has already settled in unshakable freedom. And this is exactly what the Buddha proclaimed as the final, complete, and unsurpassable blessing, one that needs nothing more.
One who practices the blessing spoken of above is never shaken or defeated at any time. Everywhere such a person attains well-being and virtue, one who has realized the highest and most noble blessing.